Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to Wednesday, May 5th. I hope that you had an incredible Star Wars day yesterday. Remember, that was May the 4th be with you. And now,
welcome to the Stars for Stars Legend, wait for it, Dairy Learner Show. Brought to you by the amazing Mrs. Smith.
Thank you. Thank you. And as we like to start off every day, I just want to start by saying that I miss you all. And as much as I wish that we could be together, remember, at least we still have this. So let's go ahead and get started for the day, because this is going to be a short video, because again, we're talking about graphs. And remember, graphing is pretty easy, just as long as you pay attention and focus on what they're really looking for and what they're asking for. So I'm going to zoom this in just a little bit because it's really hard to see. Great. Now, you should already have your math journal, and if not, this is a perfect chance for you to go get it. All right, so we want to title it. And again, this is our last day that we're going to be reviewing graphing. And we just have a few questions. So let's look at this first graph. And what are they using to show data? They're using bars. So this is a bar graph. Now let's look at this bar graph. Without me moving it. Almost there, boys and girls. Okay, now we can see everything. So let's look at our bar graph. And we can see here, now this is a little bit different. This is a horizontal bar graph because the bars are going horizontal or side to side, not vertical up and down. So we have our categories and we have our scale. What is our scale counting by? Great job. It's counting by tens. And if we notice, we see grade 1 in our categories, but then we see two bars. We see an orange bar and a green bar. So we need to look and it says, oh, I'm sorry, it's yellow, not orange. Those are the ones that like fruit, and the green are the students that like vegetables. See, we need to look for our key because that's going to tell us. So let's go back over here, and our question number 1 says, how many more fourth graders liked fruit than second graders? So I could go ahead and restate my question. Blank more fourth graders liked fruit than second grade. And then I just have to go look at the graph for my information. So we're looking at fourth graders that like fruit and second graders. So we need to look. Yellow or the orange one are the ones that like fruit. And when I look at my scale and we go up, I can see that 100 students or 100 fourth graders that like fruit there are 100 students. Now I need to look at the second graders. Do I need to look at the green if that's talking about vegetables? No. But I do need to look at second grade. And if I go and then I go down, 60 second graders liked fruit. And it says how many more. So what they're asking is how many more second graders would I need to equal the amount that the fourth graders liked? So what would I need to do? Great job. Subtract. So I can't take any of those. So I need to take this 100 I have. Now I'm not going to have any more hundreds. And I'm going to make 10 tens out of that 100. Because remember, if we're grouping them together, when I get 10 tens, that equals 100. Then I need to take one of those tens away, so I'll have 9 tens left, and make 10 ones. Because if I break down one tens piece, there are 10 ones in that tens piece. Oh, but we don't need to go over here, do we? Because I can do 0 minus 0, so I didn't need to do that. So 0 minus 0 is 0. Now, this stays as 10 because remember, I didn't actually need any ones. So 10 minus 6 is 4. So then 40 more fourth graders like fruit than second graders. All right, let's go on to number 2. How many third graders like vegetables than fruit? So I'm only looking at third graders, so blank third graders like vegetables than fruit. So what they're asking us is, I'm only looking at third grade. Now I need to look at both of their green and orange because now we're talking about vegetables and fruit for only third graders. So this is third grade. And if it says how many third graders like vegetables than fruit, should be able to tell me that more students are going to like vegetables than fruit. So let's see. If I look at third grade, I go to the end of the bar, 90 students in third grade like vegetables. And if I do the same thing for fruit, I see that 80 students like fruit. What do I need to do to find out how many more like vegetables and fruit? Subtract. So 10 more third graders like vegetables than fruit. You're doing a great job. Keep it going. Now, I want you to solve these next 3 on your own. And then, go ahead, pause the video, solve them on your own, so then we can go through and check them. So start with number 3. Go ahead. This is a time to pause me. And then we'll go through how to work it together. All right. I hope that you've had more than enough time. If not, keep me paused. And I'm looking at fifth graders that like fruit than vegetables. So blank fifth graders like fruit than vegetables. Then I just need to look and see the fifth grade that likes fruit, because I know that there's going to be more than them, and the fifth graders that like vegetables. Go over here, same thing. The fifth graders that like fruit, there are 70 that like fruit. Fifth graders that like vegetables, there are 50. So it asks me how many more I need to subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. 7 minus 5 is 2. So 20 more fifth graders like fruit than vegetables. Number 4. Remember, if you have not done this one yet, this is the time you need to pause me, work it out, and then check yourself. Okay. Okay, if you're not done, keep me paused. And if you are done, let's go ahead and check number 4. So it says, how many first graders voted? Does it say anything about fruits or vegetables or being specific? No, so we just want to know total how many first graders voted. So I actually need to use the fruits and vegetables because they all count in them, right? So I need to look at my scale. First graders. 20 first graders like fruit. And I know, oh, look, this one's in the middle. If it's in the middle between 10 and 20, it splits it equally. What do we know that that has to be? Great job, 5, because 5 splits 10 equally. So there were actually 10, 15 students that like vegetables in first grade. Now, if I want to know how many total first grader voted, what operation do I need to use? Great job, addition. So 35 first graders voted. Last one, boys and girls, you're doing great. How many students like fruit? Now it's asking me how many students. It doesn't specify a grade, so that means I need to do it for all grades of blank students like fruit. So I need to go through each grade and see how many students like fruit. So 20 students in first grade, 60 students in second grade, 80 students in third grade, 100 in fourth grade, and 70 in fifth. What would I need to do with all these? Great. I need to add them. And I don't want to go straight down. You can break it up. 20 plus 60 is what? 80. So now I've used that one and that one. Now 80 plus 80 is 160. Oh, well, I can add that 100 easily to that, right? So that would be 260. And then 260 plus 70. So 330 30 students total liked fruit. All right, now if you're like me, you ran out of space on that one, and you can just flip it over. And let's look at our next graph. Now, our next graph, what are they using to show the data? Great, this is another bar graph because they're using bars to show the data. Now, I want you to go through and work these out, and then we'll check them. So pause me, solve them on your own, and then check using our work. All right, so blank as favorite subject. So I'm starting by just restating every question. It says, how many people pick math as their favorite? Now, if I look, the solid line represents boys, and this little striped line represents girls. If I look at the scale, it's counting by twos. So I know that 12 boys like math as their favorite, and 6 girls. I need to know how many total, so I need to add them together. So 18 students picked math as their favorite. Number 2. What is the total number of boys that like reading and science? Blank boys like reading and science. So I know I'm going to be looking for 2 different subjects, but I'm only looking for the boys that like those subjects. So if I go back over to my scale, the boys that like science, there are 9 boys that like science. And reading, if we look right here, 10 boys like reading. So that means that 19 boys like reading and science. Almost done, boys and girls. How many more boys like math than reading? Blank boys, blank more boys like math than reading. So I should already know, are more boys going to like math or reading? Great, math, because it says how many more boys like math than reading. So I know that there are 12 boys that like math. There are 10 boys that prefer reading. And when it says how many more, that's subtraction, because I want to know how many more boys like math than reading. How many more boys would I need to add to this reading to equal math? 2 minus 0 is 2. So it's 2 more boys like math than reading. Okay. How many more boys like math and science than social studies and reading? How many more boys like math and science than social studies and reading? So blank more boys like math and science. Well, if I look up here, so I need to know all four subjects though, right? So I want to know how many more boys math and science than the boys who like social studies and the boys who like reading. If I go back in my other notes, I know that 12 boys like math, 9 boys like science. I don't know about social studies. And I can always go back so I can see that 6 boys like social studies and 10 boys liked reading. Now I need to know, we're doing math and science, so I need to add each of these together to figure out how many boys like math and science. So I can see that 21 boys like math and science and 16 boys like social studies and reading. But it's asking me how many more, so I'm not quite done yet. What do I need to do? Great job. I need to take these two numbers and subtract them. I can't take 6 from 1, so I need to make some ones. So I'm going to take that 2. I'm going to take one of those 10s. So now I'm only going to have 1 10. And I'm adding 10 ones, but I already have 1. So now I'm going to have 11 ones. And 11 minus 6 is 5. 1 minus 1 is 0. So 5 more students like math and science than the boys that like social studies and reading. I'm sorry, not students, boys specifically. And our last question. It says, which statement is not true? Math is the favorite subject of most boys. So let's see if that statement is true. Math is the favorite subject out of all the boys. Well, it looks like because that's the highest, right? So that statement is true. So A is out. More girls than boys like social studies. More girls than boys like social studies. Well, that is true. And we're looking for one that is not true. Remember how they like to trick you? Then it says 11 girls like reading. Well, if we look at reading and we know that the girls are the stripe and we go up, there's only how many girls that like reading? 8. So that statement is not true. But we always need to check. So let's look at D. A total of 16 girls like math and science. So let's look at math and science. 6 plus 10 is 16. So 16 girls like math and science. So our statement that is not true is C. All right, boys and girls, we have done our lesson for today. Your job is your independent classwork today is this Google form. It's on our Google Classroom. If you watched the video, then you should know. All right, boys and girls, I miss you, and I will see you later on today during office hours. Bye, boys and girls.